Hello, hello, Hasten to Sell. We are going to pick up where we left off this morning with the design of the treasure room. I did not have any epiphanies over lunchtime. So I don't know how this is going to go. The way it usually goes is that I think about this stuff for a long time. I come up with some conclusions. They're usually not great. I end up kind of fixing that in the next day or two or when I try things out. So let's just kind of tackle what we can. Again, for those who haven't seen the treasure room, I might as well anchor everybody now. So you buy treasure chests, you spend money on the treasure chests. Here I can pick which character I want to have loot be in the treasure chest for. So I pick the rogue, for example, and inside is the rogue shadow cloak. Then you put weapons into the weapon grinder and it'll form keys. I'll just cheat these keys in now, so it won't take me weapons. And then each key can do something special, like this will increase the quantity of what's in there, and this will increase the number of item types in there. So now instead of one cloak, I have 2 cloaks and 2 summoning totems. And then the skeletons are bringing other keys. When I finally open this, now we're getting 12 items out of it. They're going to bring these to the guild. And the guild will give stats to those corresponding adventurers. So that's it. That's how this works. And there are a bunch of problems with it. And we're going to try to address those problems. One of the problems is that once you have enough money to generate keys, you pretty much have infinite keys. And if the only thing slowing you down is buying treasure chests and stuff, then it's not really a very interesting system. I think we need some like final questions to answer after redesigning the treasure system. Will the changes work for story mode? Anyway, problems that we had. It feels like you have to invest a lot into it in bone mode for it to pay off. In terms of perks, I'd say here, in terms of town perks, yeah. Once you can afford keys, getting a lot isn't really a problem. Iron keys kind of feel bad. Skeletons take the keys for you. Getting too much loot is actually a potential problem since there's no stacking. Yeah, and I guess one of the ways we can approach this is, what is the simplest possible change to address the issues that we have? Like one way is collapse keys so that they only do one thing. Add an item to the chest and lower the time. That would address this problem. It would also address the iron keys problem. You also wouldn't be able to get too much loot out of it, I guess. And then we need to change how you get keys. Grant keys automatically out of the weapon grinder. I.e. they don't even take weapons. If we just did those 2 things, then yeah, I guess there really wouldn't be an issue, right? But what would it feel like if we did that? That would address all of the problems I wrote down. Would it be fun? You would just be getting keys here. I mean, if you're just getting keys, what's even the point? What's the point of even getting keys every once in a while if where you use them doesn't matter very much? Yeah, there isn't much of a point. Hey, Kevin. Hey, thanks for the PR that you fixed up. I merged it. There was one issue I found, although I don't know where this came in, but at least in bone mode, when you go to hire, the life bars show up. But anyway, that should be pretty simple. I should just be able to hide those. I'm not actually sure why that was a problem. Oh, maybe it was a problem because the base scene changed the visibility by default, maybe? And these counted on them being the default? I don't know. Anyway, should be easy to fix. So, yeah. And then I pushed a demo earlier today. And actually, I noticed on YouTube, Plum Yeti did another video on Skeleseller. If I click recently uploaded, I watched this over lunchtime. Yeah. So I'm guessing you just saw the changes on Discord and did a video. So he played through. It looks like he's enjoying it more than he enjoyed the past version of it. So that's also pretty positive. Feeling good about that. Yeah, so there wouldn't be. So I guess this is one of the problems here. If we have different keys, then you wouldn't want skeletons taking them from you. If you don't have different keys, then keys don't really need to exist. They would basically just cause some transportation time. Well, then keys only really exist to incur transportation time. Could be the default change. Yeah. And I can look into that. And at least everything else looks good, and it shouldn't have impacted the demo. Yeah, those new portraits look great. The new enchanter stuff looks great. Everything's coming together. Yeah, Quickie Joe did a great job. It's also interesting seeing kind of how much all these changes have improved the game. I think we still have the old UI in the trailer. Do we? Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's funny that that's what they used to look like. Basically, everything I haven't done is the great stuff. And soon I will have undone another system, the treasure system. But hey, Xyletics. So, I mean, I think this is okay. I think the not having different keys thing is probably more important. Guess the transportation time is still interesting. Plus, keys can still differ in magnitude. Hey, Hypers, welcome back. So we're back to the brainstorming table. We're trying to figure out how to change the treasure system. And as mentioned here, I guess these are the simplest possible things. And yeah, would it be fun? I don't know, I guess. Maybe we should just try it. So going back to the simplest solution, is it worth trying out? I think I should just think about it for a bit. So the collapsing keys do one thing, possibly with different magnitudes of that thing. Yeah, and if it's just adding an item, I don't think you'd care too much, but you might care which item you're going to get. It does almost make me wonder if you should be able to customize the key that you get. Like, what if... what if keys had the items associated with them? So instead of pre-selecting a treasure chest loot, you're making different keys. I don't know how I feel about this stuff either way. Also, if you can power level a single adventurer, then we're gonna have a problem in story mode. Can power level a single adventurer, then we're going to have a problem. So yeah, what would this look like? You get keys all the time and have to move them to treasure chests. Workers are doing that for you. Is there some other... I wonder if there's some other equivalence class of thing that I need to think about. So if we think about what do workers do right now? They harvest crops. They bring items to the warehouse. Well, actually, it's pretty much all of it is, I guess, bringing an item from one place to another, which boils down to harvesting crops, stocking the warehouse from the ground, stocking a shop from anywhere else, and I guess at some point, like bringing an item to the garbage slime and bringing a key to a chest. Can they do anything else? Oh, yeah, bringing a quest item, turning in a quest item. But yeah, in all of these cases, it's moving an item from one place to another. Even harvesting a crop is just like pick up a carrot, bring carrot to Chef Slime. They're never doing anything different. And I don't mind that. This is a game around items and selling things. It's called Skeleseller. But also, kind of more importantly, if you're just going to have them seemingly idle at a place, let's say there was some hacking game and the skeleton sat at a computer and had to hack. It's like, is that really any better than just moving an item from somewhere? Wouldn't you just have them once you turn that into an item. And that way, I guess it works with all the manual actions you do too. So yeah, I guess it's just moving keys around. For some reason, it just doesn't sit well with me. Workers are always just moving an item from one place to another. Harvesting, stocking, turning quest items, opening chests, etc. I think that's okay. They represent small units of work being done for you. So we need the treasure system to be some number of those actions that you would have had to perform. And we could make it a different kind of arbitrary, I guess. Like, imagine if the weapon grinder just automatically produced keys, but it got stuck every once in a while. And you needed to, I don't know, get like oil for the machine. And bringing oil to it was something you had to do. It's still something a worker is just going to be moving an item from one place to another place. But you'd have to notice that that's happening, I guess. I guess they just automatically do it. So then this really does just come down to moving keys around. If we are just going to make this about moving keys around, then we need the balance to make sense. It really would be similar to the farm. And that it incurs some number of actions per minute that you or your workers need to perform. Makes me wonder if opening them would be any different, the treasure chests. Like, what if it did take a worker? I don't like that idea. I was gonna say have a worker just take time opening it, but I feel like that's what the key thing should be. So could you speed that up? Could you maybe have something like, and I don't like this idea, but you have to click a chest in order to lower its time. I think the reason I don't like that idea is I don't want this to become a clicker game. I want, if you're going to have to click anything, for that action to be at least semi-meaningful. The least important action in the game right now is harvesting a crop. You harvest one crop at a time. You possibly get a very small portion of a level up by doing that. But even then, it's like your workers can do this. You speed this up as you play through the game. So, yeah, the idea of bringing keys to chests, I think, is still fine. I guess this is, I still just need to keep playing out this scenario. So they're worth trying out. Yeah, you would be pumping out keys. In fact, we could just fake this. We could just put this in the game right now. I already made that right click thing on the weapon grinder, right? Right click. Yeah, here. Accumulated value plus equal whatever. So what we could do is we could just put inside of a process. There's already an item machine process, right? Yeah. Oh, that's just for tooltips. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fake this. We're going to see what it sounds like or feels like. Override process. Yeah, call the base one. And then add the accumulated value. So this is going to be, is this a float? No, it's a long. And what's the value per key? 50? All right, how often do we want to produce a key then? Once every, I don't know. Once every like 10 seconds or something. So we need to get some like private float auto key accumulator. Yeah, something like that. And then in here, we do this plus equal delta. And we say if delta is greater than, let's say 1, then set this back to 0 and set the accumulated value. So every second, we're going to give you, I don't know, 1/10 of a key. So after 10 seconds, you get a key. What, this needs to be a double now? All right, so that should work. Once every 30 seconds with perks to up the rate. I think keys need to get produced more frequently, and they need to just do less when you plug them into a chest. Otherwise, if you're only getting a key every like 30 seconds, this system is not really causing you to act any differently. So every 1 second, why is this not working? Why is this not working? What did I do wrong? Oh, delta is greater than 1. I meant to do if this is greater than 1. Whoops. Okay, let's try that again. All right, so every 1 second we should see this thing go up by what, 10%? I think I said? Yeah. So it's automatically producing keys. In another 5 seconds, it's going to produce its first key. It's going to be probably an iron key, unless I load it from the save game, in which case it's always going to be a special key. Oh, interesting. It says overflow keys 1. We never actually tried using the overflow value. Yeah, my bad. There. I think I'm loading from a save file that has all the special key stuff, so I think it's guaranteed to give me a special key. We're not going to wait 10 seconds this time. We're just going to speed it up. So we should just see keys start to appear. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that's change number 1. And then change number 2 would be make keys pretty much only do one thing. Ain't nobody got time to wait 10 seconds. Yeah, you know what it's all about, boss. We got to speed that up, make it 2 seconds. What would be the one thing keys do? Right now, keys do any of the following. Minus time, I guess minus 1 minute, or minus 3 minutes, and plus 1 multiplier, plus 1 quantity, plus 1 item type, or immediately open a chest and grant more items. So there are only 5 things a key can do, and these are the 5 things: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is not a thing on its own. In fact, we could just write it like this if we want. There. So there are the 5 different keys. What we could do is we could say every key is like minus 30 seconds and plus 1 item in total. So it is not plus 1 multiplier, it's just plus 1 item. And we say chests start with, I don't know, 1 item in them. And chests start with a timer of, I don't know, let's just say 5 minutes. So that means that opening them only with keys would give you 11 items out of the chest. Technically, that's not really possible because it takes time to even get the keys there. So it's probably 10 items. But anyway, whatever, 10 or 11 items. And it would take you 10 keys. But the point is, so if you're producing a key every 10 seconds and it takes you 100 seconds to open a chest and then get these 11 items out of it, we need to rebalance how much 11 items gives you. That would probably be too much. I think it would just feel boring. I'm not even certain that getting keys faster would make it feel better. It feels like it would be boring to get 1 key every 10 seconds. I get that, yeah. I say you need perks to open up the rate so it scales as the game progresses. I mean, we could do that, but still, if this system, like, let's say we got some perks. Let's say it went to 1 key every 5 seconds with a perk or 2. Or some number of perks, I should say. Some number of perks. Is that more fun? Again, it's just creating work for your skeletons, sort of like how the farm is creating work for your skeletons. And it's quite a long walk for them to go there. It's another problem I think we have, which is that by the time a skeleton gets to a treasure chest, they might have not needed this anymore, the key. Where there's a list of problems. It takes a worker a while to bring a key from storage to the treasure room. In that time, the chest may no longer be a valid target for them, at which point the key is dumped into the warehouse. So you get another chest. Already talked about moving the location. Yeah, but then I think that was before I talked about that I probably want this to contribute to work for the player, or for the workers at least. So let's say that the key storage were here. Then, okay, walking a key over is almost nothing. But then they should be almost constantly walking keys over. Otherwise, it's hardly any time it's going to take your workers to do it. It's like the farm represents a lot of upkeep. Usually your workers are doing other things. So if I were to, well, let's let them clear out the farm. I kind of did this stupidly. Anyway, right now they're clearing out the farm. So this is like what the key storage thing would look like. But if I put a bunch of items on the ground first, and then I make a full farm, they won't get to this for a while. So they're doing other stuff now, and then they're finally going to get to this. Okay, so now they're free, and now they're going to go start clearing out crops. So I think it's the same thing. Like if we had the key storage right here, every once in a while, they just go and be like, all right, done. We moved all the keys. Now we can go do another task. Also, I never noticed that is a little bit of a bug too. Should probably fix this whole area. Some fun could be choosing which chest you want to apply the keys to. If I want mage items, I may want to manage my keys to only go to chests with mage items in them. Yeah. I got to prevent people from sort of power leveling this, but I don't even know the current way the system is being talked about. It wouldn't be easy to guide keys to a certain location, and it would kind of just automatically happen probably. Like you'd probably just get one chest at a time. I don't know. I got to think of what other decisions we could possibly do here. And maybe automatically getting keys isn't the best idea. I may want to go back to the key farm idea for a bit. Like you grind weapons to form keys on the farm. They take time to plant keys on the farm. They take time to grow. I'm just going to use the farm analogy here. They take time to grow. When done, you can insert them into a chest. And then they work pretty much the same way they do now. They could be different at that point. I guess it doesn't matter too much. I don't know if this is interesting. Could get something like the auto cast toggles for chests. So you toggle which chest gets key priority. Yeah, but the way, I guess what I'm trying to get at, and I don't know enough of the variables here, but we only have 4 treasure stands right now. So let's say it was divided into, okay, there's a mage stand and a rogue stand and a paladin and maybe another paladin one. You're like, I want them to go to the mage one. Like, if you have more than enough keys, all the keys are just going to go to all of them, and it wouldn't matter where you put them, I guess. Now, if you don't have enough keys, they might go to the wrong one, and then the mage chest isn't getting more loot in there. Then directing it might be more interesting, but then how did you get these chests to begin with? With selective loot, you pick the loot in a chest. So it almost makes me wonder, like, should chests just contain loot for every class, and you have some other way of influencing? I'll just say that process. Yeah. Or rather, chests just contain X number of items, and you don't know what the items are until it opens. And maybe upon opening it, you could maybe the key is only used for the final bit of the process. And opening it has some kind of power associated with it. So like key 1 could be change all items to class of your choice. Key 2 could say add 5 more items to the chest. Key 3 could say, I don't know what, automatically put the items in the guild. Key 4 could do, something else. And so now keys could be rarer than they are now, and the chest could be the bottleneck. Or well, sorry, no, the key could be the bottleneck, the chest could be some other thing. I don't think this helps. Okay, let's just keep coming up with random. I'm just spitballing again. What if you could make a chest be a destination for any item, sort of like the garbage slime, and those items would get converted based on their value into guild supplies. So like bring 4 potions, 3 armors, 2 weapons, and get, 7 rogue cloaks or something like that. Or maybe the items you bring convert to, specific adventurer items. Hey, Krasner, thank you. Happy Monday to you too. A happy Monday to all. Even for the people who are possibly so far ahead in time zone now that it's not Monday for them. A happy next Monday to you. This is kind of interesting because it's like if you do have too many items, you know what else would be kind of interesting here is, yeah, you have too many items, you dump it all into a treasure chest, but also what if the treasure chest was just like a black hole? You didn't need to move the items there. You basically just, did that camera just flash black? It looks like it did. And that was the precursor to all these other negative problems happening. But that could have just been a normal like autofocus. Well, the lighting probably shouldn't have changed on anything. I wonder if I just move too far forward or back. I guess if I lean, it does change the lighting on my face. Well, hopefully nothing's wrong. If I turn blurry, all of a sudden I'm going to be annoyed. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, what if you could enable some button here? You got a chest here, and items just start flying into it. And that way, all the extra items you get could be funneled into treasure. But I think, again, we run into a similar sort of problem here. Oh, wow. I didn't realize we had 38 overflow keys. All right, so if we turn on auto purchasing, they're just going to... I don't have money now? There we go. They're just going to non-stop bring keys over here. This is very goofy. I guess we can expand the warehouse a bit. Wow. Look at all this industry. Are they done with the keys? They have 23 left. And every 10 seconds we're getting a new one. Hey, Oberon. How you doing? Look at them go. Look at them all go. Yeah, so I wonder what that would feel like if you put loot into the chest yourself. It kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It's sort of like crafting. You're putting in loot A and you're getting out loot B. And A didn't have as much value for you as B has, which is why you're doing this. So these guild supplies are powering you up permanently. The other ones are just getting you money. I think it's interesting. I mean, I guess another way we could do this. Yeah, they're about to run out of those. Or we could do it based on category. Like potions end up buffing the cleric and mage. Armors end up buffing mushy and the golem or something like that. I'm just making something up. Weapons end up buffing the rogue and the archer. But would this be interesting? Why would you be putting loot into chests? Be some form of crafting, essentially. Put the customers into it. Put mushy into it. He's got to fight his way out. Can't wait for it to be finished. I can try out the full force of the game. Means I can compete and who can get the furthest, fastest. Yeah. Thank you for checking in, and I'm glad you've got faith in the game. I'm generally feeling good. We did our last wave of feedback just pretty much this weekend, and I think it's trending upward. but one of the sticking points is the treasure room. It just doesn't seem that worthwhile for people to get. And honestly, even in my own runs, the way I end up getting it, there's a perk in the game that says every X seconds get a free treasure chest. When I get this perk, I'm like, okay, that's a reason to get the treasure room. And Xyletic suggested, why not just have that by default? And it would make the treasure room more interesting. I guess that's another thing that could help. It just won't solve all of the problems. And I've been kind of ignoring some of the problems for a bit and kind of thinking, oh, I'll get to this later. Well, I think now is the later point that we're getting to this. I don't think we can ignore this for much longer. Could make some silly lore reason for this. It would help address having too many items. Concerned that the balance may be difficult. Maybe you can only put so much loot in before the chest is full. My skeleton emote's ready. I want to see 3 more. And then I'll know you're truly ready. I myself only actually have 1 skeleton emote. Despite having worked on this game for almost 2 years. Yeah. The other ones are just implied skeletons like this one. There's probably a skull under there. Under all those party hats, but who knows? Who knows for sure? Something science can't prove. It could just be like extraction. Or, yeah, it could just be like extraction. Get some amount of loot based on what you put in. No. Could be based on the loot you put in. So that you're essentially buying power. You can put in any 5 items. The more valuable they are, the better the loot you'll get. Okay, I mean this is interesting. I think we need to retheme this. It isn't really compatible with the quick move menu. Since you would have multiple targets. How would you get chests? Is there not just an infinite item sink available? It would solve the problem of not having the garbage slime. Well, it would solve a problem. I don't know. I don't think that needs to even be written down. Day of the Dead related or something? Day of the Dead. Oh, yeah. I know this by the Spanish name. You think I would know it by the English name? For whatever reason, I don't. But that makes sense. Certainly would like an armor dump. That kind of gets that. Yeah, I think this is interesting. I have no idea if this is good. But I think interesting is at least a start. It's better than boring. So yeah, how would you get the chest? How would you choose which loot goes in? You probably wouldn't want your skeletons just taking random stuff from the warehouse that you could have sold. Maybe there are switches for armor, potion, or weapon. Maybe you have like prototype slots for each of the above, and it adds items that you find of those types. I don't like that. I also don't like the idea of you filling a treasure chest only for it to pop out with different loot. It's supposed to be me. That is not a very flattering troll. And yeah, there's my dog. Yeah, the dog looks nice. They're Adam emotes. I have a few. those. Yeah, those. Oh, thanks for the sub, Oberon. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have these. This one's the only one with kind of a weird story behind it. It's the hacking tutorial series. And I think there was a tutorial. I don't know where that is. Hack 2. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, there's a short video series I did. The first video is still one of my favorite videos I've ever made. It took such a short amount of time. I just woke up on a random Saturday and I'm like, you know what? I want to write something. I wrote out a script and I recorded the video in like 45 minutes in total, I think. It's such a goofy idea. Does look like a troll. Kind of a troll face. Yes, I don't like the story reason of putting loot into treasure chests. I think it would have to be done directly from the portal. Okay, that could potentially work. Yeah, maybe you find, maybe you say like dog ear extra items as chests, and then the chests drop from the portals already filled with loot. It's interesting. I mentioned this a while ago, but I think I can actually show this. Let me take a look. How would I do this? We have some code that lets you make a treasure chest. Item equals item.create item ID.chest. Yeah. And then we need to drop it on the ground. Add items. Instance, add items. What is this? Loot and start position. Loot equals new. Add item. What does this take in? An item ID and a number. Okay, then I guess we just put this here. And delete that. And then call add items loot portal position. Okay, let's try this. This is going to make a treasure chest pop out of the portal. And I think there's still code in the game that makes them bring them to the treasure room. And it makes them walk really slowly, like the treasure chests are heavy. Can I even build this? I can't. Because if I do that, I can. All right, so now we press this. Okay, it went into the warehouse. Yeah, that's right. They just move really slowly. And then they drop them off, and then they can be opened. So, like, we could do this. I already have this code in the game. It's not being used for anything else right now. They eventually drop it back off in the warehouse again. Oh, no, they don't? Really? Wow. Well, that's too bad. They're just going to wander around with a treasure chest. I guess if I gave them more treasure stands, they could at least drop them off. But look at how slowly they move. Yeah, this idea is kind of interesting. I don't think as a player you would want to micromanage this, though. What if you just sort of randomly got less loot by having an open treasure stand? And you would eventually get a chest? I'm not even sure that's interesting. Because this is going to be something you just turn on and then forget about. It's like the enchanter is not really an APM check. If you don't have auto casting, every once in a while you're going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, let me click once. Right? Now I'm out of mana. I don't have any other thing I can click. It's not going to do anything. So the treasure room could be there. I guess it's not really an APM check right now. Maybe it's wrong to think of it that way. How bad would it be if you just clicked a couple buttons and you got treasure? I mean, isn't that kind of what's happening with auto treasure chests? They just appear. You'll toggle the weapon grinder here and there. I'll click this button or I won't click this button. And that's it. I guess I do drag keys occasionally, but really not that often. Okay, maybe that was not a great idea then. Maybe the idea of this being a management task. What do I even say for that? Like an APM requiring task isn't great. It wasn't really that to begin with, I suppose. Well, for one, loot dropping from a battle, treasure dropping from a battle, I think there are a bunch of little problems with that. As an example here, if a worker picks this up, so like let's say I open all of these, and let's say I spawn in a bunch of workers, and then we add in a bunch of other treasure chests. So any extra treasure chests you get are not going to fit, and then these workers are going to be stuck just walking around forever. And they're going to be walking much slower than they normally do. So there need to be some, I guess there could just be an extra treasure chest thing back here that would need to accumulate. If you can get chests from battles, we would need an infinite dumping ground for them to prevent you from having too many. Appears in random places on the map for a short time. It's not clicked on, it goes away. That sort of thing I want to avoid, only because I think that's just sort of artificially inflating the actions you need to perform. And if your workers can do it, then they would just find it for you anyway. And if they can't do it, then it's something sort of like, I guess, the fruits on trees. Like you can click them and get money. These purposely give you 1 gold because they're just not worth it. Like, yeah, it's a fun little thing to find out that the game does, but otherwise. Maybe the treasure spirit eats the extras. It just eats the other treasure chest. Isn't that cannibalism? Are you suggesting cannibalism in the game? Yeah, maybe they could store them. But eating them, I will not allow. So is it fun to get chests from battles? And I think there are the classic Skeleseller problems here. You can't base it on the number of battles because you would just fight in the forest forever if you did. So you have to base it on like average loot value or some accumulator that the player doesn't know about. Would the garbage slime just consume the extra? It could potentially. Although one of the problems is if we allow the garbage slime to consume the extra ones, the workers have to walk all the way down here just to bring it to them. And that would probably feel frustrating. Like, why can't I take this treasure chest from them? So I think just having them always walk up to the top and drop it off somewhere. By the way, the another way we could do this is just stop extra ones from spawning. If we're like, hey, you have 3 in the world already and you have 1 open stand, you can get 1 treasure chest. If a second one would have dropped, too bad, you just don't get it. Or we save it for later. So I'll write that down too. Or we would need to prevent you from having more chests in the world than you do treasure stands. We could just remember that we have to spawn another one. You're working on Skeleseller. I'm working on a fully playable Discord Dungeons and Dragons bot, so my brain hurts. Why does your brain hurt from this? Are you trying to focus on this while working? Because I think that's probably pretty difficult. I don't think I could listen to someone to talk while I'm coding. I think it'd be a one or the other. Yeah, I would say just turn off the stream if you're trying to be productive. That sounds like too much. So yeah, is it fun to get chests from battles? I think rare drops are fun. I think that I need to state this forever. Rare drops can be fun. Rare keys, chests, rare items that you sell for more, etc. I think people just like seeing that. It's like a thrill of, oh my God, I got a treasure chest. So I do wonder how we would make that work. And it's worth at least coming up with this. Suppose we wanted to make it work that chests could drop from battle. How would we do it? So I guess the simplest way is probably just there's a hidden accumulator value. Every item you get from battle adds its value. When you exceed the value, you get a chest if you have space. Yeah. This is going to feel predictable, though. Probably feel predictable. Like every 10 battles, you may get a chest. It's naturally sped up by doing better / more battles, which is nice. But on the flip side of that, it means that when you get the treasure room at first, that you're probably not getting a lot of treasure chests. However, that is where maybe there's another way of accumulating these chests. Maybe there's another way of getting these chests so that you don't have, so that this is viable in the early game. It could just be that the cost of a chest increases rapidly, like 10 gold, 20 gold, 30 gold, 40 gold, instead of going up by, I think it's 3 right now. Or I guess just for the sake of illustration, let's just cut out some of these numbers and say it's like that. So like, yeah, in the early game, you buy a couple of them, then you probably tone it down. Yeah, I'm just going to write what I had earlier. I think that's probably fine. Because the battle way, you're getting this on top of the loot. Spending the money, you're getting it by literally spending money. So it's costing you something. If you don't get them at the start, just starting up key production gives you a jump on when you do farm chests better later on. Yeah, and I'm still not sure how keys are going to work yet. Perk essentially accomplishes the same goal. It just doesn't pop out of the portal. The auto purchase stuff. Yeah. That's true. It does. And it's, I think, worth stating that. There is one difference here. The difference between getting chests from battle and automatically creating them is the transportation and the excitement, I guess. But yeah, I guess it doesn't matter too much. But I guess I got on this train of thought by saying, what if you were filling up the treasure chest? And that's what led me to thinking, what if it took that loot from what you would have gotten in a battle, and now you get it as a treasure chest instead? Actually, that's another thing I hadn't thought of. What if every once in a while you get a treasure chest instead of loot? I'll just write it down as an idea. I don't think it's drastically different. Could get a chest instead of the loot you would have gotten. Does that mean you're getting less loot overall? Well, in the original idea, yes, it would have meant that, but I don't think it's a good idea. I'm still not actually sure what I'm even leaning toward. Because I think we need to change keys in addition to changing treasure chests. And I just want to explore all the different sort of design possibilities here. What if... I was gonna say, what if chests had like 100 minutes on them? So when they bring these chests over here, instead of saying 10 minutes, it was like 100, and you needed a lot of keys. Oh, they're getting a lot of keys. Yeah, I think this sort of process has been helping me a lot, but this is kind of just game design, what I'm talking about here. And this is just how I end up doing this. I hope this is fruitful, but I think so far it's been a spewing of ideas and no real narrowing down of what will work. And I'm still not even sure what I'm leaning toward. Man. I like the idea of keys. I still want there to, I still like, I guess at the end of the day, like I should write down some of the things I like. I like the ideas of rare keys or rare chests having to bring keys to chests, automatically getting something. I don't know what. What if keys dropped from battles? Is that fun? And then you could make them with extra items if you wanted. I don't know if that's interesting. Also, keys accumulating would probably not be a good thing. Let me go back to the problems. You have to invest a lot right now. I mean, we could fix this very simply by just saying there's one treasure perk. It just gives you everything. So I guess at any time we could just change the balance of that. That's probably not too hard to solve. Never got it. Feeling great in story mode. This is something we also don't really need to worry about too much. This is more like a problem that led to our other problems, not a symptom. It's more of a cause. I'll just put this up here. All right, yeah, this is definitely a problem. Once you can afford keys, getting a lot of them isn't really an issue, at which point you're just swimming in treasure. Oh, that is assuming you can afford the treasure chest. They do have a cost. Do I want gold to factor into this somehow? I don't know. Hey, Brens. Keys can open chests to bypass the chest timer. Yeah, that's how they work right now. So if you... Well, I guess they're going to slowly bring a treasure chest there. But like this key says opens a chest 1 minute sooner. This key says opens a chest 3 minutes sooner and increases the drop multiplier. So drop multiplier is 1. It just went up to 2. And now this chest is already openable and it'll drop 6 items now instead of whatever it was going to drop originally. Yeah. I don't know the viability of the answer here, but do chests have to be associated with guild supplies? I know the system was built for it, but if you look at treasure and the issues, it's revolving around how you obtain guild supplies at the end of the day. This system may not fit that. It's possible that it doesn't. And to be fair, that is the one thing I haven't considered this time around. Although I concluded from before that, at least in story mode, remember, this started as it had to be a gold sink. So a gold sink can't give you gold. If it does, and it's a net negative, then it isn't giving you gold. I mean, that's the definition of giving you gold, I guess. And if it does, if it's a net positive, then it isn't a sink. And if it does and it's like net neutral, I guess, then it needs to confer some other benefit. Hey, Vibuff. Happy Monday. So yeah, I want it to be a gold sink. It doesn't have to be a gold sink in challenge mode, which means it could be a gold source. If it's a gold source, then what are you fueling it with? Give buffs similar to the enchanter to boost other mechanics. I could write this down at least. The treasure chests don't have to give guild supplies. They could give sellable loot, buffs, or some other benefits. I like the idea of guild supplies. I do like the idea of power progression coming from items. It sort of satisfies the equipment itch that people have. Working on making treasure better? Yeah. Yeah, the treasure system, it's not great right now. And there are problems that even I was recognizing, but then we got feedback saying like, hey, it could be improved. I wrote down some of the problems here. You have to invest a lot into it for it to pay off. There are keys in the game that you get, but once you start getting like a couple keys or 3 keys, you can probably get a lot of keys. So it's like you either don't have any keys or you have all of the keys you'll ever need. And then what else do we have here? Oh yeah, there are different kinds of keys. So here you see there's an iron key. This is not special and it feels bad to get compared to a special key that is just more powerful. I mean, again, we could just make it so that like iron keys don't exist and now they don't feel bad because you'll never get them. Skeletons take keys from them automatically. Yeah, so this is another problem here, which is that if I just make some chests over here, skeletons themselves will pull keys over. So right now there's a reason to put this red key into this chest versus this chest. But if a skeleton takes it, too bad. You're not making that decision anymore. The skeleton's going to make the decision, and it might not make the one you wanted. So that's another problem that we have. What else? It takes a worker a while to bring the key from storage. Yeah, and on their way bringing it from storage, they might no longer have a target. So like all these skeletons are in that case, and then they just drop the keys in the warehouse. And now these keys, we need to just wait for a treasure chest. Or for me to do this, I guess. But I can only use 3 of these so far, and now all the chests are openable. And what's the last one? Getting too much loot out of each chest is a problem. Yeah, this is pretty minor. Yeah, these other ones are kind of an issue. So I guess I don't like... maybe we should summarize these in a more consumable way. Problems I had written down. To simplify these problems, it is key acquisition needs to change. Iron keys should probably just be removed. Or like key functions need to change. Iron keys could just be removed. And skeletons should, yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. I'm still not sure how the acquisition should work. Like maybe you could get keys from any other system. Like a crop has an X% chance to become or like have a key. A fish may have swallowed a key. Casting a spell might make a magical key. You can get them from battle. And what else would there be? I don't know. The garbage slime might spit one out. If we did that, by the way, it'd be kind of cool to have keys that represent where they came from. Like there's a fish key and there's a carrot key and a slime key. But that's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't really change the function of this. Yeah, I still wonder what if every key just gave you one more item in here. Like we have one item to begin with, rather than doing this whole like 3 times 2 sort of thing. It's just +1 every time. But for some reason that doesn't sit well with me either. And I wonder if I'm going to come to any conclusion just on paper here, or if we should just try some more things out. Like the automatic granting of keys was this one thing I tried out, right? We're just getting one more key every 10 seconds right now. I don't really think that's great. I feel like there should be some decision making here that isn't there right now. I like the idea behind the original decision making. Which chest do I put a key into to get the most items? In practice, I don't think that was fun. I wonder if we could do something like it, though. Like, just as an example here, maybe you can combine keys to make them better. But there's a limit to how many you... Yeah, maybe you can combine keys to make them better. But then it'll take longer to... Wait a sec, take longer. What if keys added to the time in a chest and also added loot? I mean, that doesn't make sense. They probably wouldn't be keys at that point. Rather, what if keys lowered the time but didn't change the loot, and something else added loot and time? So now it's a trade-off of how much loot do you want in the treasure chest and how long is it going to... Like, you're increasing the cost by adding loot. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. So with this system, keys could be much more boring. They could always just be -1 minute, -2 minutes, -3 minutes. But then this thing that adds loot could be more interesting. Could also be rare or costly. What if each chest storage position had a different effect from the chest? Some just general thoughts I have from hearing that. One is that it might be hard to add other storage positions because they wouldn't be fungible. So like this position gives effect A and this one gives effect B. Is this also giving effect A and this is also giving B? So we could just always put them in pairs maybe? Or is this giving C and this is giving D? And then we need to come up with like E, F, and G if we add 3 more. Anyway, that's number one. Number two is we'd have to make it obvious to players whatever that effect is, and then give them the choice of which one of these are going to fill out. And then the final part is not only does it need to be obvious and we need to give them the choice, we need to make them impactful enough to be meaningful. So like these 4 spells are all made for certain situations. And I think, I don't have data on this because I didn't capture it in the metrics, but I think people are probably casting all of these now. And I doubt that was the case before. Requires manipulation of keys instead of just clicking a buff. Like spot 1 gives supplies, spot 2 eats item types to convert to other item types. Type 3 applies a random buff, etc. I see what you're saying. I think whatever we try to accomplish with that, we could potentially try to accomplish a different way. So chest, like all the chests could give guild supplies, for example. But if you want guild supplies, we could have other ways of getting guild supplies. And converting items, we could have like other systems that maybe convert items. But I want to go back to this idea because I still think it's interesting. We have a bunch of other item graphics that we're just not even using. And maybe some of these make more sense. Like these, I don't know what these even are. We could just call them like magical orbs and give them a glow effect or something. But what if these were adding loot to the treasure chest and also adding time? So we say like red orb is +2 items +2 minutes. And the blue orb is something like, I don't know, times 1.5 items +5 minutes or something like that. And then keys are somewhere between like -1 to 3 minutes. And I'm just making up numbers here. Chests start with, let's say, 3 items in them and 2 minutes remaining. So if you just put in a single key, it'll probably open. But then add orbs to get even more items. I think we still cause a bunch of problems. So it still have problems. How do you apply the loot adding items in such a way that your skeletons don't mess it up? Maybe only you can apply them. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Want to do key math while managing everything else? Yeah, we could simplify this so that it's just, there's just the timer basically and how many items are in it. So it's not math so much as how, like, do you want to keep pumping this up? And then you're going to need more keys. I guess what I'm trying to say is right now we've got like an X times Y times Z thing going on. And you need to figure out, like, basically if I have a Y key, I want to put it in the thing with the lowest Y value probably, so it'll give you the most benefit. And yeah, I think that's a little too much for right now. I also don't think the UI really helps you along that. Well, since this is one of like 6 systems in the game, I guess it's not something you have to pay super close attention to. I want you to have to manage it somehow, though. I want managing the treasure system to be interesting enough. It's like the farm. It's dead simple. Plant and harvest. And yet you have to look at it occasionally to see which thing is needed and then divert some resources toward addressing it. So yeah, the treasure system could kind of be the same. Right now, the only thing you need to look at occasionally is opening it. The game doesn't do that for you in challenge mode. So you have to click this. That's not difficult or anything. And I don't think I want it to auto open in case you don't have space and the items just get deleted. But that's kind of what I'm talking about, is like, what might you look at over here and then say, oh man, I need to do something with this. I was going to say, one way is that it gains time if you don't interact with it after some amount of time. I guess the time would just be, no, I don't know. This is so difficult. Maybe I'm going too complex with all of this. Maybe we do just like, if I just automatically made chests for the player and had keys only add a static number of items and lower the time by 1 minute. Or there's a key that can add a sellable high value item that can also spawn out. Maybe that key is rare. I see what you're saying. Like, you could modify the loot in a different way than just guild supplies. In essence, that key is essentially just a sellable item itself, right? Because if it's either adding it to a chest and slightly delaying that you can then sell a rare thing, or you just sell the key, I guess. So like, however you would have gotten this key, it could have just given you money. I get there's some difference there, but yeah, I don't know. But dragging a chest between storage spots did something. Something I could envision is there are different maybe multipliers here. So if you have a chest in this position, it's going to be -1 second per second. But like, this one's glowing red, so you put a treasure chest over here and it's -10 seconds per second. But I don't think that management is probably interesting. It's always like, well, I just want a chest on the most valuable space, right? I also like the idea of whatever it is you'd be doing having it be something that workers could do. And I mean, we already have the way of workers being able to bring keys to this. That's what makes me think, I wonder how much this really needs to change. And I thought of this idea too before, but what if each key had a class associated with it? So it said on this one, opens a chest 1 minute sooner and adds a rogue cloak. And then this one, it's also an iron key, but it says opens the chest 1 minute sooner and adds a mage rod or whatever it is. So now this one's going to buff the loot to add the mage thing in it. You open this and now you have 1 mage item. And you put this one in this and now it's got 1 rogue cloak in it. And then the keys could become the deciding factor. So putting a key into any chest would be helpful. But at that point, what's the point of the chests, I guess? It's only if we're going to have like multipliers or something, right? I guess the chests could have like loot multipliers on them. But anything you're going to want to put into certain... Okay, new thought. Just thinking to myself for a second there. So every time a chest spawns, probably automatically, what if your workers brought keys to it and it was assumed you would open it practically immediately? So now the key storage is a place for putting keys, not creating them. Hey Flair, hey ABC. Maybe different keys in different chests, but you need to control what keys are in making. Bad keys give less. If you pay attention, you get better stuff. I think so. One of the issues we have right now is that a skeleton can pick up a key and it's just going to put it wherever it wants to put it. So if I have two chests here, like, and I wanted the skeletons to bring the keys over to this one, it's like, too bad they chose to open this one. So if there's a good or a bad choice, it's got to be something that in an automated way makes the good choice, to the point where you just wouldn't even touch the system knowing that your skeletons are going to do the right thing anyway. Or that there is no bad choice. So that the good or bad choice would have to come from something else. As an example there, I guess, like, you're the one who casts spells in the game. This one increases customer speed. This one increases worker speed. If those are the only two we had, there's no obvious better choice. It all depends on what scenario you're in. So this is fun for the player to click, and it's also one click, so it's not very difficult for them to do. So if there's something like that, I could maybe see it working. Like, maybe when it comes to opening the chest, maybe it says, maybe a chest fills with X items, but you don't know which items. When opening it, you decide whether to randomize them across all adventurers or prefer a single adventurer. Like, that could potentially be the case. And even then, I'm not certain that people would want to make the distinction there. Maybe it's not worth changing a whole lot. My only real gripe with it is that using weapons to make keys just hurts the economy too much. Also, the impact of chests falls off hard once you start clearing the last location. Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think, well, I guess I don't really agree with the economy impact so much, but I agree with there is a problem with having to make keys out of weapons. And I think that problem is that once you start getting like crossbows, it's practically like a 1-to-1 ratio. So every time you get a bow, you're practically getting a key, or like a 1-to-2 ratio, or whatever, 2-to-1, something like that. As opposed to at the beginning of the game, when you're getting like bows and daggers, you need like 4 or 6 of them just to get one key. And one key is not all you need to open a chest. So it feels just bad to waste your money making keys. I wonder what pushing this system would look like. 4 down, 20 more to go. Cards? Or something else? Okay, I want to go back to an idea that I had a little while ago. What if chess required specific combinations of keys? Of red plus blue plus green keys. E.g., chest 1 was red plus red plus red plus blue. Chest 2 is blue plus green plus red plus green. I think I came to the same conclusion earlier, which is that if you can't influence key creation, then it's an obfuscation over randomness. You might as well just have, there's a 10% chance to open up the chest. Yeah. So at that point, why not have each key has a 10% chance to open a chest? And the answer to that question is that it feels bad to have a key go to waste unless they're free. So you could make them free, but, and I still haven't really figured out how are you acquiring keys anyway. What if you just had an infinite supply of keys? Key creator. which just always had a key ready inside of it, it would potentially create infinite work for your skeletons. And you, I guess. Yeah. Characters. Thanks for reminding me. Gotta do some cards also. Well, feel free to share on show and tell. Keyboard is pretty interesting. Hey, Tiger. Yeah, it's a corn keyboard. I did share. Oh, I thought. Wait. Did you share something today? I didn't see anything in Discord today. You said you did 4 today, right? I know you shared the llama. Oh, today, really? What, did I just not see this? Oh, I didn't see it. 12:54. Oh, it was right at the end of my lunch break. Okay. That's why I didn't see it. Yeah, I'll have to take a look later. Yes, I don't think this part's interesting. Yeah, I want to give you something for having keys. So yeah, that's why I settled on. So my conclusion from that is the same. I think keys should still give a benefit. All right, well, I changed the thing about automatically creating keys. What if we change the thing about keys having different effects and they just added how many items are in the chest? You did 1. Yeah, 4 in a day would be amazing. Yeah, art has quite the cost. I rated someone doing pixel art animations a while ago, and he was saying something like, oh yeah, this piece took me 40 hours and this piece took me 3 weeks. Hey, Andra. Andrasist. How should I pronounce your name, by the way? I don't know if I've asked you this. I think you've changed it over the years, right? No, wait. Yeah. Did I already ask you this? It's Andre. Okay. I will write that down. Oh, yeah. It used to be Roosevelt. Okay, gotcha. I did not realize that. Okay. Now your name makes sense. By the way, thanks for trying bone mode again. I do appreciate it. I think in general, one of the conclusions I had from your message was I think we should force people into the tutorial because it's only like 10 minutes and because it gives 15 upgrade points. And one of the reasons why I added a pre-built town upgrade, which says start with X buildings. And the other one was, I forgot what it's called, like Battle Party or something like that, which is start with X adventurers. These were influenced by your feedback. So if you have the upgrade points and you can spend it on these, then you'd be less likely to find perks that you can't use. So I think I'm going to start people with a tutorial. I'm going to make the start with X adventurers be a little bit cheaper. Got it. Hey, Becca. I haven't seen this doc in so long. I don't even remember which one. Sorry. I don't know if it was this one that I pulled up or not. I'm losing my mind. What if I'd be able to make something great if I spent X weeks on one piece? I usually aim for 3 to 5 hours of work unless it's a super important piece. Yeah. Yeah, it's not to say that everyone who works on pieces and they take that long doing it, they end up making a product that ended up being great. It could be that they just liked spending that long on a piece. I used to spend a long time on various like games that never saw the light of day. And at some point I realized I don't want to do that anymore. I want my games to see the light of day. Pretty cool. Excited to test those perks. Just to be clear, you have access to those in the game right now. They're just the ones that are here. So you beat the farming scenario. You got 15 points. You can now spend those points on these things. So those are already there. What I was planning on doing is forcing people to do scenario number 1, getting started. so that you have 15 points by the time you get to farming. And then the only problem is adventuring party costs 20. This is one of the ones I think you would like, but it's 20 and you don't have 20 points. So I think I'm going to lower the cost to 15 for the first level. Sharing the product of your work is a very important step in the whole art thing, I'd say. Yeah, I think it's also important in closing the feedback loop. Like, it's one thing to keep making stuff and wonder, oh, what might have been if I had released this, or why didn't this do better than it did? But actually hearing from people, I think, helps a lot. So I still have the same general questions from all this stuff. How do you get keys? How do you get chests? What do keys do? Oh, man. Programmed a combat system for an ARPG camera, but my girlfriend who's doing the art really wants a 15-degree camera. Trying to see if the gameplay feels good that way. I think you two will eventually come to an agreement on that sort of thing, and I don't think there's a wrong answer. But yeah, I think this is the classic problem of there are two people working on something. Person number one wants X. Person number two wants diametric opposite Y. How do you agree on something? And it's just like any other relationship or friendship. I always kind of think about it when you're running a business with someone, you are basically in a relationship with that person, not a romantic relationship, but a relationship. You need to talk about things. You need to handle conflict. You need to generally agree and move forward and figure out what the actual problems you're facing are. You know, you happen to be in a romantic relationship as well. So that adds a layer of complexity. Yeah. But as far as the professional aspect of it goes, it's still like, if they're opposites, then someone needs to convince the other person, or you need to back down or choose a different hill to die on, sort of thing. All right, so what are the ways of getting keys? Why don't we start with that? Because I talked about some of this stuff. Weapon grinder, convert weapons to keys, buy them with gold, get them automatically, get them from battle, get them from some other unconventional source. Farming, fishing, enchanting, slime. Is there anything else? What if I don't know what this thought's going to lead to, probably something stupid, but what if you could get keys from treasure chests? Like, what if Okay, so this is really dumb, but what if you bought like a key chest which just contained keys, and then you got like a minor chest which contained keys for a major chest and some loot, and then a major chest contained just loot. So you like work your way up. I don't think that's fun. Mildly surprised that's not a command. I would have needed to be asked about that quite a lot. It's just that the more the camera is looking down, the better strategical view you have. It's like gameplay versus looks. Have you thought of a more maybe customizable camera? Like, could you get the best of both worlds by doing more 3D art or pseudo 3D art, or like a mode 7 thing? I don't know if you played Golden Sun, but Golden Sun, I'm pretty sure, was 2D art, and they had like a pseudo 3D camera. Can I even show this? Yeah, so they had like this, but then they could kind of rotate the camera and it would just do some clever things with the scaling and reflection and whatever else. You probably need to watch a video to get what I'm trying to talk about because I'm not doing a good job explaining it. You can find keys in chests too. Actually, that's true, but I guess the chest that you'd find a key in typically didn't take a key to open. Hey, Bertrand, and hey, kids. What engine am I using? Hey, Zara. I'm using Godot for this. All right, I don't like this idea that I was going to find keys in chests. I don't think this is probably a sensible thing to do. So how should you get keys? I still haven't answered. And also, like, what balance do I want? What balance do I want for this? Tons of keys to open a single chest. A single key to open a chest. I like the idea of workers moving keys around. I also toyed with that idea of what if chests just, they had a time limit on them. And maybe the time limit's, it's just like a minute. So it doesn't take that long. And the key is just for finally opening it. So like the chest time needs to count down to 0, and then you put a key in, and the key changes what happens in the chest. That was another idea that I had. But yeah, so what would I prefer for this? Tons of keys to open a single chest, a single key to open a chest. It's got to be pretty much like one of these things, right? I think I'd prefer taking many keys to open a chest. Plus it gives workers more to do. So what if you had a steady stream? What if you had a steady stream of keys, perhaps from the treasure spirit? You would probably want some way to speed that up. It could just be via perks. But then how would you get treasure chests? And why would you want multiple? Because that's another problem that I feel is kind of in the game right now. You sort of just open up the treasure chests in series, not in parallel. At least that's kind of how I would play, is wait until I have enough keys to justify getting a treasure chest, then get a treasure chest, fully open it, and then just ignore the system for a while. You had red, blue, green chest. You have keymaker that produces keys. You control what color of keys is made. You need 3 red keys to open a red chest, but 9 with different colors. Skeleton always prioritizes a good color. This is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. I want to come back to this after I finish reading chat. Is crafting a thing? Maybe a key recipe? Crafting's not really a thing, no. Do you have a runway from a timeline perspective this time around before potentially diving back to corporate? Let me just say this. My goal is never go back to corporate. Do I have a timeline? No, not really, I guess. I think Skeleseller is going to at least do moderately well. And I think it has the potential to do, like, pretty well. I don't think it has the potential to do, like, Minecraft well. But I also don't really care if it does Minecraft well or not. But yeah, I think it has the ability to do well. So I definitely want to see this through. And all I'm really focused on, and this is why I say no, not really to this, all I'm really focused on is how do we get to, like, Q1 of 2026 and launch the game. And that's what I'm spending all of my time toward. So we're going to launch and then we're at a big fork in the road. So if you picture the flow chart, it's like we get to here and now it's, does Skeleseller do like terribly? Does it do okay? Does it do well? Does it do really well? I don't have enough visibility to know which one of these arrows we're going to be in. So I'm just ignoring the whole thought process around it. Thanks, Woodgut. Also, hi, Woodgut. And is there a skeleton key? There currently is, yeah. We have... It's not even showing. Hang on, let me open some of these. And then speed this up. And we should see a skeleton key. Is it not going to make one? Is it because I didn't get special keys? Yes, it is because I didn't get special keys. Let's try this again. Whoops. All right, I messed that up. Yeah, there's a skeleton key. Let's let them put that down so I can show you what it does. Yeah, here it is. Immediately opens a treasure chest and applies random bonuses. And the number of bonuses increases based on how much time there is to open a chest. But this is probably all going to change. Hey, Dabledore. Oh, no, this is Minecraft. Is there a world where the next project is something with more scope and team, or would you continue to do mostly solo endeavors? That is a very tough question. One of the things that I think about more and more, I don't like working solo in terms of motivation and responsibility. I think working with other people lets you have more variety and also, I guess I'll say scope just to keep it simple. And it gives you someone else you can talk to about any problems you're running into. It also, as you know, kind of Andre was mentioning in chat, it gives you someone else you might end up complicating some decisions you have. I'm trying to say this very nicely because I'm not trying to imply anything else. In the future, though, I do want to have still creative control over the games that I'm making. So, like, I have an idea for the next game I want to make. It's called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. And I'd like to execute on this, but I don't know whether it's going to be a good idea marketing-wise. But that's not going to stop me from wanting to explore it anyway. So I need to convince someone else to be on board with that. I have some ideas around how to even do that. Anyway, back to this. So what if you had different colored chests and you have a key maker that produces keys? You control what color keys is made, and you need a certain number of keys to open a chest. And skeletons always prioritize the ones that they should be opening. So let's think about this. You would have a reason to have different treasure chests. You would need to manage which keys are being produced at any time. And depending on how long it takes to make a key or to open a chest, it may or may not be interesting. The thing I think is tough about this, the downside is you pretty much always want to open a chest. Well, I should say any chest, unless the chests differ greatly between one another. So the decision to pick a key color isn't very interesting. Yeah. And you don't even need to pick it. And I guess that's why I said depending on how long it takes to open a chest. If you can only open a chest every 1 minute and then you don't have anything else to do and you're not generating any keys, then you just generate bad keys for it, I suppose. Still not sure. But that is an interesting thing to think about, controlling which keys get created. It's kind of why I rejected this thing earlier about, you know, if you need a chest that has red, 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 blue, and another one that has blue, green, red, green, you need to be able to influence key creation. Hey, Banana. Is it going to work? It's not going to work, though. That's the thing. So it's going to be neither. Oh, yeah, sure, Sorrow. And I don't mean to be, like, I'd like to be transparent about this. I think I'm being transparent as much as I can, which is just, like, I'm purposely not thinking about this stuff right now. But yes, and next year, let's say it's, I don't know, May, and let's say Skeleseller did great. Honestly, probably I'll just support Skeleseller for longer. But then at some point, I don't know what that point will be. And if you look at other games like Terraria, that point is still not up. They're still patching the game after whatever it is, 15 years or something. But at some point, I'll be done working on it. If it's 15 years, yeah, maybe I'll just stop doing game dev or something. But if it's like 1 year or 6 months, I'd probably move on to the next game. And then I'd probably make some difficult decisions about, yeah, who do I want to work with, or how do I want the structure to be, or do I want to tackle something of bigger scope? Should I do what's monetarily viable and do like a Skeleseller 2 or something? I have no idea. So yeah, we'll take it one step at a time. I just like being able to ignore mushy chests and grabbing mage and archer chests. I'm not even certain. Yeah, I guess I had too many questions about this stuff. Like how loot should even be doled out from this. I wonder if there's some other way to make this interesting. Like, what else could we do with this idea? Suppose we tried to improve the idea of being able to produce specific keys. How would we make that system fun for the player? You know, it's times like this, I always kind of think, what if you looked at mini games, either in other games or just standalone games, just some game mechanic? Because that's essentially what we're kind of trying to make here. You could make an entire game out of this sort of thing. It's like, what if lock picking in a game was Tetris? Tetris is already a fun game, and lock picking in some games is kind of boring. So what if you just threw Tetris in there and you have to make a shape or something or clear enough lines? It's like, okay, that's an interesting way of thinking about this. It probably doesn't work in the context of lock picking, but it kind of makes me think for this, is there some other game out there that does something interesting where it's a consumption production problem and they've got, I don't know. Anyway, wherever I'm going with this, it almost doesn't matter, because if there were a standalone game that did this, your APM for that game would probably be higher than it would be for this game. Like, I'm thinking about, there are these like potion mixing games that I've seen before. I wonder if this just shows something like, yeah, like it's probably something like this. Yeah. Wow, this is a great picture to show for this. So the way this worked is, I've played this game before. You make certain colored drinks for people, I guess potions. So this one wants a purple one. So you'd combine red and blue. And then for this one, they want a green one. So you combine yellow and blue. And then they want a little, like, I don't know what that is, one of these little sticks inside of it. So you put a stick inside of it and then you serve them that. This game requires quite a lot of APM. The game is based around doing a ton of actions. So you'd have to simplify it for the sake of Skeleseller, where this is one system out of like 10 of them. And you don't want the player to just get stuck like doing a bunch of these things. But it is kind of interesting. Like, I hadn't thought of this too much, but it could be combining key colors, essentially. You have the primary colors. I'm pretty much just copying what the system is doing, right? I'm just trying to talk through this. And then you have a chest that takes like a green key and a purple key. So it's like, okay, we need red, blue, and we need blue, yellow. Is that more interesting? Like, do skeletons combine these things? Yeah, not colorblind friendly. Ignoring that, because there's probably, even in this game, there's probably a mode where you can have it like draw triangles in this one and squares in this one and put a B on this one or something like that. And then you just remember this stuff. Or key shapes or something. There's a triangle key and a square key. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you, Albert. Did I just see food.exe? No, this is drink.exe. No, that's not even true. There are actually foods that they're asking for. What is this game called? Potion Punch? I'm pretty sure I played this game, and I'm pretty sure I wrote a huge note about what I disliked about this game. It started out fun enough, and then there were like a lot of weird decisions. There are 10 characters and usually not enough time to buy all of them, let alone utilize all of them. I think that challenge can be solved, assuming we can solve these other problems. Because I didn't really see that as too much of an issue. And I kind of liked boosting up my whole party anyway. In fact, I almost wonder if you should be able to power level at all. Like, should you be able to choose loot? Excuse me. Should you even be able to choose loot from the chest? It may make more sense to just boost everyone evenly. And for bone mode, we increase the rate to account for a faster game time. Hey, Thorn, do you get weapon keys from recycling weapons and miner keys from mining, for example? Well, right now you just get them from grinding up weapons. So if you put weapons into the weapon grinder, it makes keys. But we're trying to redesign the system because I don't think this really works for the game right now. But yeah, I haven't come up I haven't come to many conclusions here. Anyway, is this fun? So I guess what this would come down to is you end up collecting lots of keys, and every once in a while, oh, I just thought of something. Yeah, and every once in a while you get the combo you need. We could make it so that skeletons only bring keys where they'll have an effect. They could even reserve the chest. And then each chest would have like X loot in it. I don't know, we figure that out, I guess. Chest should be a mini game where you set up something up to play out over a short period of time. Since your attention is basically hopping across a variety of mechanics, anything that requires focus will just become annoying. Yeah, I generally agree with that. If it requires focus, it's going to be annoying. But that brings us to the next natural point from this, which is, could your skeletons do this? And I think a way to make this work is that skeletons would randomly combine keys, whereas you could pick the ones that will always work. If the skeletons don't end up having a key that will work, they'll re-roll them. Something like that. I don't think it's a good idea, but this is probably what you would do so that it could be automated, but it's unlikely to be as efficient as if you were to do it. Chest can need 2 minor keys and 1 weapon key, for example. I think the issue is that even just acquiring these keys right now is already a problem. To show you what I'm talking about, if I just make a new game here. So let's buy everything. So the way this works is let me build this too. You bring weapons into here and you grind them into keys. So this is worth 14 gold. If we put this in here, hang on a second. I have some cheating code that I got to get rid of here. There. Okay. All right, let's try that again. Except for this time, it's not going to just automatically give me keys. So we start a new game. We click this and this and this and that. And then we grant ourselves some items. Okay, so if I put in this thing worth 18 gold, I don't even get a key out of it. But if I put this in, this is worth 160, I click that and I get 3 keys out of it. By the time you're later in the game and you're getting valuable loot, every single item you put in is basically worth another key. So that you practically have infinite keys once you can afford any of them. But early on in the game, it's really hard to afford any of the keys. And if I buy 1 treasure chest, you can see it's got 10 minutes remaining. Each of these keys only gives you 1 minute lower time. So like I just spent 4 keys worth of stuff on this and it's still far from opening. So yeah, that's kind of the issue. Let's say we had a minor key and a weapon key. It's like by the time you get to the point where you're getting any of the keys, it's sort of, you're getting too many of them. Or we need, I don't know, just maybe more loot to be in the treasure chest or something. Yeah. Hey, Pressel, how'd the workout go earlier? Did you tell your wife about me calling you Adam? And if so, what was her reaction? No, I did not get a chance to talk to her. But I'll write this down for later. I'll say Pressel just started calling me John. Oh, man. So I guess I'm not really super sold on this. I still do like the idea of there being a lot of keys that you might need for this. And yet there being some other layer. And I don't know what the other layer would be. A sort of basic way, here's just a random idea that I had, which is like, what if there were keys that got auto-produced and then a key duplicator somewhere else? Like skeletons could bring a key directly to the chest and consume it, or they could duplicate it Actually, duplicating keys is some of the only like common item duplication in real life, right? Is that true? I guess 3D printing is another one. Really, any sort of fabrication is. But as far as what people tend to do, like an average person, duplicating a key is probably something most people have done before. Not manually, of course, you bring it to somebody, but it's reasonable that it would exist in the game. It's a key duplication vending machine at Walmart. Yeah, there are some of the grocery stores here. By the way, one day I wanted to see what the cost of duplicating a key was. So I went through the process and it showed me the cost, whatever, $6 or something. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't want this key. And I backed out of it. And it said, are you sure? What if we gave you a coupon? I was like, oh, that's an interesting trick to know. And then, like a year or two later, when I finally did need a key, I did that same thing. I put a key in the machine and I said no at the end. And I was like, I do want that coupon. I will get the key now. And it made me wonder, somewhere their metrics are like, see, this is working. Look, we're getting sales we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But it's not. It's just that I outsmarted them. How come 2 hours ago you were 2 hours into the stream? I stream twice per day. I take a lunch break, which is why this stream has a 2:35 and a half at the end of it. The half indicates the lunch break. Pretty normal these days for canceling subscriptions. Yeah, but it's rarely something you sort of accidentally stumble on and then later need. It's either something you would have read online or you're just canceling and you're like, I don't need this. I'm not going to resub. Yeah, what if it was cheaper? Yeah. So I was very happy to have gotten my key for like $3 instead of $6 or something. I don't like this idea. I'm still not sure what I'm even doing here. Hey, 6-pounder. You outsmarted them, or did you? I mean, I needed the key. I was going to get a key no matter what. And I don't know if there was a better price than $3 or whatever I ended up paying at the time. So I'd like to think I outsmarted them. So what would fit for something low attention that you would have to come back and do something with? Opening chests is already kind of that thing. We could just have more chests for you to open to make you have to open more. Life hacks. Just always say no to things, even if you want those things. And maybe the person on the other end will say, are you sure? I'll sweeten the pot a little bit. Just always count on that the rest of your life. I'm still not sure what I want to do. I think what I keep coming back to, and this is why this is so difficult for me to decide, is that I don't like how we're giving keys right now. This whole put a weapon in the weapon grinder and hope that you get a key out of it after you put in enough stuff. I don't like that. So I want this to change. And I don't know what I want it to change to, because it's linked to the next question in the equation, which is, what are the keys doing? So I keep coming back to, okay, well, what if we made the keys super simple? Keys are always just like -1 minute and +1 item. Or do we just get rid of the +1 item too? They're just -1 minute no matter what. And then chests start with more stuff in them. And you just work on your key production rate. Is that it? Is that what we do? We randomly grant you free treasure chests. They drop from battle super rarely or something. I live Elaine. Play colony sims all the time. So there's hundreds of things that NPCs can do that you have to come back for and reset. Well, just to be clear here, I think in some of those colony sims, you can probably lose. There's no way to lose in Skeleseller. So you might have to come back to a system and find that there's some like work to be done maybe, but not that you'd have lost the game or there'd be some major penalty. And I don't want it to just be kind of meaningless stuff. As an example, I keep showing, we have the farm here. If you have crops on the farm and you're not clicking them, you're just not getting value. These will never wither or anything. But clicking them is 4 clicks. It's 1 per crop. You can upgrade how many crops you harvest at once. You can get more workers to harvest them for you. You can eventually get a perk that makes it so casting a spell will harvest all of your crops for you. There are like many other little things that can be done about this. So whatever we have for the treasure system, there will probably be perks to eventually overcome some of those manual boundaries you have too. So like I could see a worker coming over here and just opening the treasure chest for you, and then you get the loot. I mean, I think these are conclusions that we're going to go with. I guess let's write, whoops, like that. And why is this happening? What I'm leaning toward. Change keys so that they all just decrease the time on the chest. That makes more sense than adding loot to the chest anyway. Start chests with more loot in them. Have upgradable perks for automatically creating chests. Maybe it starts at once every like 3 minutes and the treasure room spawns with a chest already. I still don't know where keys come from. Where do keys come from? Why do you need to wait? What's the lore? I'll show you the lore. I will ask the treasure chest nicely to open themselves, but it takes me time to convince them. You can speed this up by offering them keys. It's so stupid. But I just get such a kick out of this. Like, here's a system, and there's some super contrived reason for why that system has to be the case. It's why we were very close to adding a key farm to the game, where you plant keys on a farm and they grow, and then you harvest the keys and put them into a treasure chest. I just love the goofiness of it. But yeah, I still don't have an answer to this. And it could be a key farm. If we did that, the cost for a key could be drastically reduced. And yeah, pretty much just that. So you grow keys. I mean, the game slowly gets a little bit more ridiculous, right? You have a farm. The farm works practically normally, except for that you're putting potions into the extractor and getting seeds out of it. So it's like, okay, I guess the potions are a little bit dirty. Fine. But then you get the fishing pond, and then not only are there fish eggs and potions, but then you battle the fish. And now you're like, okay, well, that's not what I expected. And then you get to the treasure room, and it's like, wait, I'm planting keys on a farm? I think that would be cool. And I think it would reuse a lot of what we have. And I think this would solve the other problems that we have. Have it so you can send adventurers to fight keys. This reminds me of the end of the Harry Potter book, the first one, where they go into that room and there's a bunch of flying keys around. What did they have to cast fire spells on them and stuff? By the way, I played Hogwarts Legacy because it's on Game Pass. I think I played for maybe a couple of hours or something. I don't think it's that much fun. And I don't know if it gets better. But it felt very tedious to play that game. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so I do kind of like this. I think it solves a lot of the problems that we have. It almost makes me wonder. Yeah. So our chest has more loot in them, so that you still get something even if you didn't bring a lot of keys. With what you're leaning toward, keys sound boring? I think of them as, so here's my biggest problem with the system. I have a key farm for growing keys. My biggest problem with this system is it's too similar to the farm. It's practically identical. So the farm is take potions to the extractor to get seeds, then wait. Well, I guess we could just put this in the flowchart here. Then wait, then harvest for sludge. And sludge is basically experience points. So the key farm would be practically identical. It'd be weapons to the weapon grinder, which I guess would also like plant seeds again, wait, and then harvest for keys. And then keys are basically like fractional guild supplies, which increase power. Which increase your level. And that's what I don't like. I think other than that, it sounds okay. It sounds okay. So anyway, the key farm is where I'd probably address this so that it, I mean, key farm literally has farm in it, which is why it's so similar to the farm. The thing I dislike about this is that it's too similar to the farm. I'll copy this stuff. There. So I wonder if there's some other way to get keys. Could there be another way to get keys? The weapon grinder isn't bad. It's just that it would be a practically infinite way of getting keys. Is there some better way? Maybe you, I don't know what you do. All I do is reduce time. Then it's just an added clicker action with no real meaning. Just doesn't sound exciting to me. Do you like the farm? Because it's pretty much what the farm is doing, right? Like you harvest a crop, is just increasing this number up here, and it's just clicking to increase it. And then with enough of that number, you could level up. I wonder if the action of harvesting a crop being a click means that getting a key should be different somehow. Like you have to draw a picture of the key or something. That'd probably be annoying. Have more control over the battle perks, even if random, on who is presented. Wait, but that's different from your last message, right? So if all they do is reduce time, but you pick the adventurer that the loot is for, would that be okay? Because otherwise, I think it's okay if these messages are talking about two different things. I'm not trying to say like, I don't think that there's a connection between them, I suppose. What else would we do here? Maybe any item is enough to convert into a key, and its value just changes how much the key will decrease. What if a plant like... What if a plant like key vines naturally grew, but has extremely slow harvest times unless you fertilize with ground up weapons to speed up growth? So I think the issue, I think the real issue that we had, and maybe we're still going to run into this issue, is, like I said, weapon value, like weapons turn into keys, and it was, I think, 25 gold per key in terms of weapon value. So you put in a piddly little bow, which is 3 gold, and it's going to take you 9 bows. You put in a dagger, which is 6 gold, it's going to take you 5 daggers. You put in a fire sword, I don't remember how much this is, 36 gold or something like that. It's going to give you like 1.5 keys. Oh, let's just round this up to 38. In the early game, you just don't get enough loot to justify this. It kind of makes me wonder what if a bow gave you like 3 seconds worth of a key. So every item you put in is giving you a key, but it's just doing worse, I guess. And a dagger, or I don't know, let's multiply this by like 4, 12 seconds worth of a key, and this is giving you I guess it had to be twice as much, so 24 seconds worth of a key, and so on and so forth. Depends on where you're leaning, I guess. If all the key does is reduce time, then why have an action at all? If it's an action to move the weapon to the grinder and then an action to move the key to the chest, then to answer your other question, if I could just pick the adventurer from the chest, I'm going to say I'm going to pick my biggest DPS most of the time. Okay, I think there's a tiny little bit being lost. So let me just rewind to explain this, but I don't think this is probably super important. But you said if all I do is reduce the time, then it doesn't sound exciting. And I asked about the farm because in my mind, the farm is that system. So if the farm is also boring, then it would stand to reason that, yes, this thing will be boring too. And that's when you said, yeah, but I have more control over battle perks. So that's what made me ask, okay, well, if you also had control over the key stuff, would that have changed your mind? But anyway, let me process this for what it is. So, yeah, why have an action at all? So I think it's really just to keep workers doing something. Because, yeah, otherwise, I guess you're getting keys and they're just automatically lowering the time on chests that you might have. Something's missing from this equation still. I can't figure out what it is. And weirdly, I don't feel like I'm getting any closer to it. I don't know. Usually that's not what happens with these things. I keep getting lost somewhere. I need to untangle this mess. Is it more satisfying to make keys or replace with a different item? Oh, to make keys speed up the countdown? So the chest countdown faster per key, kind of? I'll write that down. I mean, that could potentially be... Why is this not working? Why is this not working? Oh, didn't have the focus. Yeah, they changed the rate rather than changing the time. It's kind of interesting, but I guess that means there's technically no limit. If you could infinitely quickly move keys, then you could move an infinite number of keys into a chest and not have its time change at all. And then after one instant of time, it would immediately open the chest. It's not realistically a problem, but it only kind of is because workers are going to be doing this for you. So by lowering the time immediately, I guess that's what I'm going to write for this. By having, this would change how workers move keys around. Currently, a chest with 10 minutes to open will take 10 keys and no more. If we only change the rate, then workers could bring 11 keys all at once and kind of waste a key. Could give the option to the player on how they create keys. Oh, of the two systems we talked about, either like system 1 or system 2. I don't think we'd give them that option, only because functionally they're pretty much the same. They're not exactly, I get that. Like in this case, you don't get value until you've turned in 9, and then you only have 1 thing to move. Whereas this one, you get value immediately, and then you have 9 things to move. But I don't think they're distinct enough from one another. Also, in the late game, they're practically identical. Because you'd be, well, they're not actually identical. I guess they get better at some point. Maybe try working backwards. What does breaking the chest system look like? If you got the perfect set of perks that make chest guarantee you a sub 20-minute victory, what does that look like? Yeah, so what would a broken chest system look like? I think of a couple things. I think one thing could be we could change the stats granted per level of guild supplies. This could be done regardless, though. So, like, right now, it's +1 power and +5 health at level 1, +2 power and +10 health at level 2, etc., up until 5 where it caps. At the level 5 values. We could multiply those by 2 or increase the caps. But anyway, it's probably getting a ton of chests and opening them frequently. Hard to even say. Yeah, hard to even say anything more specific than that if I don't know what the system looks like. Like right now, if you were to break it, I guess you do get keys pretty frequently. You end up getting a lot of treasure chests. You end up with super powerful adventurers who may not be high level. Hmm. Okay, what if we change this, but I'll just write change key acquisition somehow. One of the things I want to be careful about is, I guess, what if you automatically got both keys and chests and had perks to change the rates? So there are a couple scenarios you could run into. One is you have more chests than keys, and the other is you have more keys than chests. In this case, you could just wait and the chest would open anyway. And in this case, you have keys and absolutely no purpose for them. Yeah. I mean, we could make it so you could just buy treasure chests and then you'd have a way to spend them. Could just let you buy treasure chests like you do now. The automatic aspect could be the weapon grinder, and it's just really cheap. Like right now, what is it? 25 gold, I said, right? Yeah, 25 gold. We just lower it to 5 gold. Then even in the early game, that's practically nothing. So you're eventually going to have this thing be filled. Although at that point, too, I kind of wonder, isn't it almost like it's costing 0? I mean, is it really doing a whole lot if it's only 5 gold? You put in like one, what is a cane worth? Cane is worth 18. You put in a cane, you get like 3 keys out of it. Hey, Case. We're talking about you. You go into treasure chests. But is this interesting? So suppose we automatically give you treasure chests every once in a while. So you got one Bruin over here and eventually one Bruin over here. And you get keys every once in a while. So if I just right click this, we've got, how many does that make? 10? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, no, we only make 8. Yeah, so like we just made 8 keys. They're bringing some keys over. I guess it's cool to see this thing making progress, but there's nothing really you have to do about it. Almost makes me wonder that, like, what if we just made another step in the weapon grinding? Issue is that this will practically feel infinite. I almost wonder if we need to add another step in weapon grinding. It would add to the time/action factor like the farm without just being time. I kind of phrased that stupidly. So here's kind of what I'm thinking of. And I don't know what this exactly looks like, but there's a weapon grinder which gives you just, let's say, metal, and then there's a key creator. So this is weapons to metal, and then this is like metal to keys. So really, you're taking your weapons into the weapon grinder to get metal to put in the key creator to get keys to put into chests. And if you, this is really stupid, but if you put the weapon grinder over here and like the key creator over here, then now workers need to like walk between them. I don't think it's fun necessarily, but it would make it take longer for you to get a key. So is there something along those lines? Again, I don't think this is a good idea, but this is just trying to spark some better idea, hopefully. Also, I just realized this is now cutting out this side over here with this grass. I gotta probably fix that. Yeah. I should just highlight all the weird artifacts that are happening now. Just put them all in one picture. This ridge ends abruptly. This ridge has grass over it. And this, the enchanter is probably overwriting this grass. There. So yeah, what about something like this where we have another step in here? Is there a way to make this step interesting? Like, what if it took another reagent? What if the step took another reagent somehow? But what? Armors? Would it be interesting? Armors could work. So it'd be something like the weapon grinder gives you, metal to make the keys. The armors form, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. Something else. And together you get the keys, I guess. Hate dumping them in the garbage time for 1G. I still think there's got to be another solution for the armor thing. Even if we said, okay, armors are going to be used for all of this stuff. And it's just going to be like a constant armor sync. I still think we should have another way. Yeah, I was thinking about making the molds, but you don't really break a mold every time you use it. Maybe it's only got so many uses. Maybe you're giving this stuff to the treasure spirit and you don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Or maybe this just drops from battles or something. This is all just for the sake of adding another step. Like, I wanted there to be something that you look over and you're like, oh, I haven't done that step. And there are similar things for other systems. With the enchanter, it's just, oh, I haven't spent mana. So you spend your mana. With the farm, it's, oh, I haven't harvested. And typically your workers aren't going to have no work to do. So they won't be doing this. They'll have done something else. With the fishing pond, it's like, oh, I have a bunch of fish. I need to go battle. I guess it's truly just a, oh, I haven't touched this thing in a while. Same thing with the quest. Oh, I haven't touched this quest. I'm not even getting these potions. Let me go get these potions. So there'd be something here where you're just like, oh, I need to do something. I guess opening the chest is already kind of a thing. And yeah, but I feel like there needs to be something else. I don't know what the something else is. Slowly upgrades the quality of keys permanently. I think perks should probably do that. I'm trying to think about this. Armor's upgraded your keys permanently. I think it's too many layers of indirection. Because like keys open chests. Time will also open chests. So there's some breakpoint of like how many armor items do I do I use to boost keys so that I can open chests faster? So that I can eventually get more things that'll just make keys better? I don't know. All right, let me take a break really fast. Well, I've actually been streaming for a while. Oh, hey, Sarah. Are we inventing Skeleseller alchemy over here? I don't know what we're doing. Well, we're taking a break now. So is it jump time? It's jump time. Hello again, everybody. Hey, Binary Monster, and hey, Green Vector. Welcome in. All right, close the game. Oh, man. All right, well, one thing I got to say is how long have I been streaming for today? Yeah, it's been almost 6 hours, so I'm not expecting there to be like cream of the crop ideas at this point, but I still feel like there's something I can come up with. And I'm not sure what it is. I just have this change key acquisition somehow. What if sounds stupid. What if there weren't keys? Keys didn't exist? I guess you wouldn't speed up treasure chests. Okay, yeah, I don't think it was a smart idea. But what if keys dropped from battle? This would basically cut out the step of having to do anything with weapons. I don't think I would like that, since you wouldn't be able to control getting too many keys. I guess the simplest way is just lower the cost by a ton. Yeah, I think that's the simplest way. It does make me wonder, what's the point? Like, it's to add some kind of work in for this. And at the very beginning of the game, you might not care about getting key. I don't know. I don't like any of this. I don't like it. I need to think of something different. This is the simplest way. And this would probably fix a lot of the issues. In fact, if we go back to the original issues that I had. So let's look at these one more time. Why not make them be randomly dropped versus cost? So you have to do things to get keys. Battle sound fun. So the not wanting to randomly drop them is, I don't want you to run into a case where you have more keys than you have treasure chests, because then this would happen. Like, your warehouse would start to fill up with keys that you would have no use for until you could get another treasure chest. And if you decided you just don't want them, then these are just, they're practically worthless. You'd have to sell them to the garbage slime, and your workers wouldn't do anything with them automatically. So they just like consume random slots in here. You might not even notice because there might be other items amongst them like this. So you're looking through, and at a glance, it's like, are there any keys there? Oh yeah, there's one. Oh, there's another one, and there's another one. And you're like, I'll get rid of these. So I don't think they can drop from battles. They only drop if you have treasure chests. So there's still a potential edge case you can run into, which is like a treasure chest has maybe 10 seconds left. So you get 2 keys, but it only takes 1 key to open it now. So now you have a leftover key. So we'd have to make sure that they only drop if you have a treasure chest, and the sum total of all the keys that exist right now are like less than the amount of time that the treasure chest would need. So there's a lot of little stuff like that. We could make another use for the keys, maybe. Like, maybe you could sell them as though they're weapons or something. Or maybe the keys are weapons. Maybe you just stick weapons into the chest and it just lowers the time by some amount. I mean, that's basically what I talked about when I said that the weapon grinder could just make any keys. I don't know. Sell keys for gold. Yeah, you could, but you need to make sure that they're not like the primary way of making money either. So like I set them to 1 gold just so that you could get rid of them if you wanted to, but it's really only the garbage slime. You feed them to the garbage slime, it gives you 1 gold, but you can't put them inside of a shop. It'll just say the shop doesn't accept that kind of item. Yeah. So wait, what was I going to do? I was going to look at all these issues. Like, do we solve the issues by doing this stuff? Feels like you have to invest a lot. All right, this we can't really consider for this. Once you can afford keys, getting lots isn't really a problem, at which point you're just swimming in treasure. So we basically would have solved this by, we start you at the point where you can get lots of keys. It's basically like the farm in that regard. We have something in normal mode that we don't have in challenge mode. This sign, you can pay to get another slot of key storage. So we could make it so that you're limited on just the storage of keys. Like, you bring, well, I don't know if that's really interesting, but no, yeah, I don't think that's really interesting. I guess it's just, can you parallelize your workers or not? You might not even want to do that. Anyway, yeah, so this would technically be solved. Getting iron keys feels bad if you invested weapons into them. So this would be solved by having keys always just subtract time. Skeleton takes keys from the store. They take keys automatically. Yeah, the keys wouldn't have any difference. Yeah. Some other way to think about this. What happened to the blur? I reseated the lens on the camera. It seems like it's fixed it. It flickered black for a tiny bit earlier. I'm going to assume that was some like auto focus or leveling thing that happened. But that hopefully otherwise things are fixed. How's it going, Ramu? We're trying to figure out how to make this treasure system more fun. There's a whole host of problems. And I don't have any great ideas. Is there any other way you could acquire a key that's interesting? I mean, I guess the only ways when it comes to key acquisition, if you're automatically getting chests. Do we have to do this though? Let me think about this. I'm so torn. Autocorrect won't think it's a misspelling. That'll be great. It'll be great once Apple just ships their iPhones, where any time you type a word that even starts with an S, it suggests Skeleseller, and you're like, "What's that?" And you find out, "Oh, that's that cool game that I've been meaning to play. I better go spend money on it now." And then Apple hears you saying that stuff, and it just takes you to the App Store, where there's a marked up version of Skeleseller, $700. You're like, "That's pretty reasonable. I think I'm gonna go for that." Then you play and you're like, wow, the treasure system is fantastic. He couldn't have done a better job at designing that. And yet, this is a fantasy world we're talking about. Because we know that Skeleseller would only sell for $695. I don't even have a sentence here. All right, I don't think I'm coming to any good conclusions. I think I'll just kind of write my thoughts at the end of this. So I've been talking about this stuff for hours now. I still feel like every time I try to solve a problem here that I'm still torn. Something doesn't feel right. And every time I've had this feeling in the past, it's meant that the current system isn't good. In this case, and there's a lot of double typing going on. I gotta clean this. In this case, it means the current design probably isn't good. But there's more to it than that. I think timed chess may not make sense. I didn't talk about this before though, right? Because one of the problems is if you have timed chess, it means you're gonna get the loot and that keys only speed it up. And if all keys are doing is speeding it up, then you don't technically need them at all. And it becomes I said this earlier, but a producer-consumer problem. All keys do is speed up chess. Well, I guess that they don't just do that right now. And the time probably shouldn't be there. If keys add loot, then there needs to be a limit somehow. So, what? Did I already talk about this? What if chests they just spawn in and they're openable right from the bat? And maybe they have like 3 items in them, and then you do something else to add loot to them. But then you're just opening up that loot. I guess I didn't like it from a lore reason. That's what I was getting at earlier, but I couldn't keep up with the context switching. Yeah, by the way, sorry. I hope I don't know how I came off earlier. I wasn't trying to be pedantic. I think I myself am struggling with just coming up with a clear path forward. And part of the reason why this is so tough, and I should probably write this down too, there's a moving target here. Treasure was added for a couple of reasons for story mode. The foremost one being that we needed an item sink for you to care, or a gold sink, I guess. For you to care about spending gold, you need some kind of benefit. And that benefit was adventurer stats. The rest of the system fell into place based on that. Honestly, I almost wonder, should we just remove the treasure system from bone mode? Or should we like simplify it just for bone mode. So you automatically get treasure chests, and occasionally, rarely, you find a key from battle. So maybe once every like 5 or 10 battles, and that'll let you open the chest. And it just takes 1 key to open it. Hey, Dark. Is it working? I don't think so. We don't need a gold sink in bone mode. We have town perks, which are basically endless. So it kind of undoes a lot of the other design. I almost wonder if we should drastically simplify this system just for bone mode. You get chests automatically and rarely find keys from battle. They automatically open the chest. And maybe add loot. So it's just a bonus system that you get rather than something you invest in a lot. Also, a lot of the investments don't really make sense for this mode, right? Like selective loot kind of does. That's what lets you pick which adventurer you want treasure for, or at least a guarantee treasure for. You might also get treasure for other adventurers, but if you click Archer here, you're going to at least get the quivers. And then let's see, auto opening. This, I don't think it makes sense at all in bone mode. We don't even have it in bone mode. This one we do have, special keys. And this one is very, very powerful. But it's so powerful and you rely on this and there's no other way to accommodate this or to accomplish the same thing that it needs to be changed at the very least. Auto purchasing is not interesting. Being granted automatic chests, I think, is good. But purchasing them for you is just a nice story mode feature. More treasure sands, that's pretty helpful sometimes. And then innate keys is also kind of nice. So I think all these make sense still for story mode. I think maybe we do just change this a bunch for bone mode. And it's, yeah, more of an add-on system. In fact, maybe it's more of like a random perk intersection system. It's also perk fodder for any other systems. Every time you open a chest, put a fish in the pond or something. I don't know. Like random things like that. Not a great idea, but at least an illustration of what I mean. I wonder what else. I mean, it could be even income for you. I don't think that's probably good. Yeah, I don't think that's probably good. Could even just remove it for bone mode. But I think there's still some value in it. Or give it to you by default. I kind of like the idea that a chest would pop out of the portal. Can I do this somehow? How would I do this? I need to somehow get enough money without clicking grant most things. So I need to actually go through and unlock this and then beat this. Wait, that didn't work. Yeah, I just prevented this from ever working. Okay, let's try that again. I think we can do it. Yeah, now I should be able to get infinite money. Yeah, good. And then I close this, get this. And what was I doing all this for? Oh yeah, that's right. So the whole getting treasure chests from battles. So like, let's create myself another worker and do that. So I get a treasure chest. I think it would be kind of interesting if you got these from a battle and you just saw your skeletons walk up to the treasure room with it. And that happened every once in a while. It's like Xylotic said, it is pretty much synonymous with just giving you the treasure chest to begin with. But I like the idea that like your worker's kind of stuck doing that. And then yeah, maybe we just set the timer to like 2 minutes or something. And there's no way to speed it up, whether you rarely get keys. I should probably think about it from that point of view, that this was made for story mode and it affects story mode much more. Yeah. The system was made for story mode and shoehorned into bone mode. It clearly doesn't work that well in bone mode. What did we do for the treasure challenge? Pirate challenge. We give you the treasure room. We give you key rarity at 1 away from the maximum level. And then we give you 2 more treasure chest displays, 2 keys per chest that you can select the adventure and that you can auto purchase, which we don't even advertise to you. Yeah, these aren't that great. You still make it spawn from the portal with the perk in mind. Every 2 minutes, treasure spirit reaches through the portal and pulls in a treasure chest. Maybe that frequency can be increased. Yeah, yeah. I think so. I think I need to, I think my thought process was more along the lines of, and maybe it wasn't, maybe I'm just retroactively changing history, but how do we get a working mode to work in this? But we haven't proven that it worked, and it wasn't designed for this. So we should redesign it to work in this mode. And yeah, I still want to think about this some more. I wonder if last time I said 346 or 347. I thought it was 328. Let me scroll back. I'd be impressed if I was correct because I highly doubt it. Okay, no, the last time it was 340. We were both wrong. All right, well, take care, John. Good to see you, John. Sounds extra weird after what I told you this morning. Good job to both of us. I was off by 12 minutes. You were off by 6 or 7 minutes. All right, so this is what we got to think about for next time. Yeah. Hey, Seshamara. Thank you for the raid. Oh, camera went blurry? No, no. Okay, let me see if I can just twist this and it'll just fix itself. No. Man. Okay, hold on. Let me try something. Where's the... Yeah, there it is. Okay, I have the lens off. It's right here. And I wonder if like this is just broken or what? There's some electronic piece in here that controls the zoom. Cam problem I see. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, sorry. I hope your stream was good. I am probably pretty close to ending this and not because of the camera problem. Let me reseat this. Oh my goodness, I cannot figure out how to do this right now. Okay, I'm giving up on this. Oh, Ludum Dare is going on? I didn't realize. Huh. Man, this is too bad about my camera. Can you link your game that you worked on? I don't know what to do about this. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta get going. Let me copy this link down and paste paste this over here. But good job. I think it is always great when someone completes any sort of jam. Oh, I should copy this with your message or your name too. So I remember who shared this with me. Yeah, plant sweeper, neat. I will take a look at some point. All right, I am just gonna sign off, I think. Yeah. I'll be back online tomorrow, I think just for the morning. And I want to put a little bit more thought into this maybe tonight and just see what happens. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Sorry that the camera broke. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. If you want to join on Discord, there's the link. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye.